Okay. All right. We got one. We got a blast off meme. All right. Let's go. Keep my logs. I got a good one. I already got one. All right. Let's post it. Dwayne Johnson looking motherfucker. I know. Dwayne The Rock Johnson did this thing one time where he, as a big brolic boy, wore a black turtleneck with a big chain. And ever since he did that, okay, anytime anybody else does it, he just owns that outfit. Why is it that he owns that outfit? Like, who? It's crazy to me that, like, that outfit is so iconic. It's like every lesbian has dressed like that in perpetuity, but for some reason we just like give that to Dwayne The Rock Johnson, which is fine. I mean, he's not the worst person to be associated with, but I truly don't know why that photo in and of itself, like why is that considered the point of inception for this fit? I can't really think of anything else that people will always point to whenever you're like wearing something. I guess maybe it's because it's a meme, but it like became a meme, and then I don't know. Isn't that crazy? And the fanny pack and the jeans, and it's tucked in. I don't know what it is, but you rarely ever think about like an outfit that is iconic in the real world and point to that whenever someone is dressed up in a certain way. I guess like another thing I can think of maybe is like MC Hammer pants. Maybe you're not a wrestling fan of shows. No, I like wrestling. I like The Rock. I'm fascinated with wrestling. I'm an Ameriboo. I was never like a massive wrestling head when I was growing up, but Steve Jobs is another one. Yes, you're right. Steve Jobs has an iconic fit. Maybe but I guess that's the only other one that I could think of immediately that you can point to where you're like, oh, you're wearing the Steve Jobs fit, which is funny because it's kind of similar to the Dwayne The Rock Johnson fit when you think about it. Anyway, Hunter Schaefer passport controversy, LA fire chief fired, CPAC Nazi salutes, Elon deadbeat dad, Luigi Mangione trial updates, Marvel arrivals later. We already know. You already know. Lady Gaga meat dress? No, that doesn't count because no one is wearing something that is equivalent to the Lady Gaga meat dress in the real world. And then people point to that and go, this combination of clothes is just like the Lady Gaga meat dress. I think you guys are misunderstanding what I'm saying. Like, the only example I can think of that is comparable is the Steve Jobs fit, right? Is like, or I guess maybe the, what's the old guy? Hello, neighbor. Like when you wear a cardigan, people will say Mr. Rogers. That's another one, I think. That's another one. Kyle Cheney. Breaking. USCP is arresting Enrique Tarrio for swiping his hand at a counter protester who got in his face. Hi, Hasanabi, say it back. Hi. Did you see the Dante crash out? Oh no. I want to meet your madre, pay my respects to your padre. That's crazy. I mean, why is that a thing? Is that a meme, by the way? I have not listened to it at all. I have no idea. I didn't even know that Drake had a new album coming out, but like, is that actually a joke or is that for real? Like, is that really a part of a song that Drake made? Or is that like AI? I have this opinion on a lot of stuff that I hear about Drake. Whenever I hear a new story or a new song, like the Canadian one, the Toronto one that I think set back Canadian rights so hard. Like that one was really bad too. That one was so bad for Canada. Canada has kind of been on the up and up since like Donald Trump decided erroneously and ridiculously to like invade it and annex it and stuff. Do you reply to subscriber comments only? Yes. Wagwan Delilah. Yeah, that one was a big L. That one was like completely unacceptable, especially considering the timing, like its proximity to the Kendrick beef. But yeah, speaking of Canada, congratulations to Canada. Okay. I will say that Canada took a big one today, a big W. Smattering a boost for the Canadian national anthem ahead of the four nations face-off trial. This is, Canadians saw that and they said, guess what, dude? We're going to destroy you on the ice. Okay. And they deserve it. They deserve that W. So congratulations. Congratulations to Canada. Why is this censored? It's a pretty good one. This anthem, don't even care. Respect. Why do they keep saying our native land? That seems weird. That's a weird thing to say. Anyway, the singer changed some of the lyrics to the anthem. This is not the most up-to-date version for your information. Oh, I love that. I think that's hilarious that they were just like, we're going to change it. Anyway, speaking of changes that are happening, let's get to the news. First and foremost, at the top of the docket, we're going to be talking about Hunter Schaefer. Hunter Schaefer is amazing. I love her. She is my queen. I have a standing invite, an open invite to Hunter Schaefer to come on the broadcast anytime, any place. I will go to her if she needs it. I would love to have her on the broadcast. Obviously, she's amazing. And it's not because, and don't get like weird thoughts in your mind. It's not because she's insanely hot. Obviously, that is not a bad thing, but also because she literally got arrested for protesting Israel at 30 Rock. Anyway, that was awesome. That was very cool. She has not replied to my DMs. It's fine. I'm not hurt by it. You know, she's probably too busy fucking doing movies and also getting her feet scanned by Hideo Kojima. It's okay. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. It's fine. I'm not disappointed that she has not replied to my DM. She's probably very busy and also, you know, working on stuff. But like I said, open invitation to Hunter Schaefer whenever she wants, anytime, any place, to come on the Hasanabi broadcast. All right. I'm washed. I'm fucking washed. I'm so washed, dude. Hunter in the Mugler Angel Elixir ad is a literal goddess. Yeah, she didn't see it, and I'm not hurt by it. I think it's normal. It's cool. I like that she has not replied to my DMs. I think it's okay. It's cool, actually. Anyway, let's continue. So, as we talked about before, the Trump administration did a bunch of insane things, and one of the first executive actions they took was to, for no real reason whatsoever, declare that there are only two genders, and also you have to, you know, forcibly have your gender be your gender assigned to you at birth. And for that reason, of course, many trans people who had to go and get new passports in this new administration literally got the wrong sex on their passports. Hunter Schaefer is a prominent and very famous example of that. Here she is talking about her experiences. Let's take a look.
Hello, internet. I don't really post much these days, but I had a bit of a harsh reality check today and felt like it's important to share with whoever is listening. So I'm sure most of us remember on, I think, the first day of Trump's presidency, he signed an executive order to declare only two genders recognized by the state, male and female, assigned at birth. As a result of this, which I wrote down because I want to get it right,
for the record, if you're wondering, what's the point of all this? It's cruelty. Literally nothing else. It's such a hollow, such a shallow, pointlessly, unnecessarily cruel thing to do. And also, not only is it cruel, but it's also obviously unproductive. Okay? It's unproductive and chaotic because absolutely zero people look at Hunter Schaefer and go, that's a man. Okay? No one does that. Because gender, at the end of the day, no matter how much Republicans or dumbasses online claim is directly associated with your sex, it's biology, it is a social construct. It is what you wear, it is how you present yourself, it is how you carry yourself. And of course, for that reason, we don't, do penis checks or pussy checks before we have normal interactions with other people in the real world. We just assume, okay, this person is a woman. Okay, gender is performative. It is a performance. But this misunderstanding has caused many people to behave in ridiculous ways. And of course, passing is not the end all be all. For those of you who say, oh, well, it's, you're just a you're just only talking about people who pass or whatever. It's just that it is a very good entry point into the conversation for many people. Okay. For the average transphobic person, it's a really solid entry point into the conversation. Okay. Because it bricks their brain in the opposite direction. When you show them someone like Hunter Schaefer, and then you're like, you have to call this person a man now. They go, what are you saying? Like, that doesn't make any sense. That is why I talk about it from this perspective. It's an entry point. It doesn't, not the end all be all before people, go crazy over it. Anyway, let's take a look.
The Bureau of Consular Affairs has frozen passport applications requesting a gender marker change or renewals or new applications with a gender marker differing from an applicant's gender assigned at birth. So my initial reaction to this, because our president, is a lot of talk, was like, I'll believe it when I see it. And today I saw it on my new passport.
Like, this is such a fucking insane thing to do. Okay? What absolute insanity. Hunter Schaefer's from New Jersey, and she still hasn't been on the broadcast. We have touched the same soil, Hunter. Okay? What more? What more has to happen here? Okay? That's what it says on my passport too. Mine says New Jersey, USA as well. Okay? I'm just saying. That's what it says on mine as well. Hello? It's like we align a lot on many issues, and I think it would be great and very productive if you came on the broadcast. That's all I'm saying, okay? That's all I'm saying, okay? Lamau, did you just cover this as a way to publicly beg her to come on stream? No, that's just me making jokes, chatter. The reason why I'm talking about this is because I've already talked about this at the beginning when the executive order came in. But obviously, when a famous celebrity is experiencing, when a beloved famous celebrity is also experiencing the same issues that the average trans chatters in my community are experiencing, don't you think that it's really good to hyper focus on it so that, more people are aware of it? Anyway, Hunter, if you're watching, we actually are a very funny community. We make jokes all the time. This is not the normal vibes of the community, okay? The one chatter does not reflect the broader. It's a very fun community. We love jokes. Unless you hate jokes, in which case we fucking hate jokes. We've never joked ever before. We've never even thought about joking. But otherwise, very, very fun ha-has are to be had here. So anyway, let's continue.
Male. So now to specify, my gender markers were first changed in my teens when I first got my driver's license, and then passports following. All have been female since then. Hasn't really been a problem. However, last year when I was filming in Barcelona, our car got broken into and my bag got stolen, and inside of that was my passport, which was supposed to last me up until my 30s. And so I got an emergency passport, which was very simple at the time. It's basically just a copy of my old passport, but temporary and only supposed to be used within the year. So as soon as I got back to the States, I had to get this fixed and get it replaced with a real proper passport, which I went to.
I'm confused. While perverse enough, I thought the executive order simply said that there were two genders, not that someone who was once one sex and has become another cannot stay that gender. Yeah, of course. Look, anytime someone says anything about gender in the opposite direction as the wokes, they just mean like they want to shit on trans people. Okay? Just like when people talk about fairness in sports, they don't actually care about fairness in women's sports. Okay? They just don't want trans people to exist, and this is a permissible way to say fuck trans people. That's it. I've tried to explain this to people over and over again. Some people might genuinely think this conversation is actually about fairness in sports. Like, they might have actually been lost in the sauce. There are plenty of people like that. Okay, plenty of people think, on the one hand, trans people are unfairly discriminated against, and secondly, they should be nowhere near any athletic endeavor. Okay, that is real. That's a real person. That is the average American person, the median position. Okay, having said that, the conversation was started specifically on the boundaries of finding new ways to say trans people should be eradicated from public existence. That's it. And that is precisely what's going on here as well. They'll say, oh, only 2 genders. Come on, that makes sense. And then they'll turn around and go, also, if you are a trans woman, you're going to have male on your passport. If you are a trans man, you're going to have female on your passport. Doesn't make sense. It's about trans women specifically. Trans men are still allowed in men's sports. Yeah, but it's also just simply trans women participating in sports is not about fairness in sports. Okay, that's just a way to traffic this issue in a way that is permissible and dare I say popular in broader public opinion. It's just about saying trans people are weird, gross, and immoral and shouldn't exist. That's it. That is the entire purpose of it. Yes. Obviously, people like Hunter break the brains of many average Americans due to the fact that not only do they pass, but also are insanely pretty. But beyond that, trans men also, in a similar vein, break Americans' brains. Like they can't comprehend it. They can't understand it. It's still, like I said, an entry point into the conversation for many people who are just like oblivious to how these things work. Okay. Anyway, but ultimately, all of the legislation or executive actions that push for this kind of thing are not actually done on the real boundaries that they're talking about. It's not about like making sure that everybody only has like 1 or 2, making sure that everybody's either a male or a female. Like that's not it. It's just being transphobic and trying to legislate away trans people. That's all it is.
The federal passport agency today in LA and did. I've had to do this one time before. No part of the process was different. I filled everything out just like I normally would. I put female, and when it was picked up today and I opened it up, they had changed the marker to male. And I'm not making this post to fearmonger or to create like drama or receive consolation. I don't need it. But I do think it's worth posting to sort of note the reality of the situation and that it is actually happening. And I was shocked. Because I don't know. I just didn't think it was actually going to happen. And like, I want to acknowledge my privilege, like not only as a like famous or like celebrity trans woman who is white and thin and
also, yes, she is trans. She's a trans woman. She's a very famous trans actress. For the record, like I think the point here is like, at least from where I'm standing, like if it happens to her, which of course it was going to happen to her, because she is trans at the end of the day, it can have like, think about how much harder it is for the average trans person who also doesn't have the same finances that she has or didn't have understanding parents early on that were obviously super woke and allowed her to take hormone blockers initially, like puberty blockers initially, or some trans people that don't want to completely pass. Like there's a variety of different factors here at play. Okay. And it is infinitely harder for everybody else. That's why I think it's important for public figures like this to actively come out and speak on their experiences. What is her name? Has she been in anything big? Yes, Hunter Schaefer I guess her most famous thing is Euphoria, right? I mean, she's been in a bunch of stuff since then.
Can adhere to like contemporary beauty standards and I can participate in all of that. I pass and it still happened. And I never had my birth certificate changed. So this has led me to believe that I think the agencies who are in charge of passports and this sort of thing are now required to cross-reference birth certificates, or I don't know exactly what or what changed as far as the processing goes, but
yes, they put an M on her passport. It's unnecessarily complicated. It makes things unnecessarily complicated. You know what I mean? It's just there is literally no reason to do this. There are, like, whenever I think about any sort of government decision, the good is supposed to outweigh the bad, right? Yes, I believe Chelsea Manning is at the Luigi trial. I just take photos. The good is supposed to outweigh the bad. Like, that's how it's supposed to work, because any matter of rules and restrictions and regulations actually end up restricting to a certain degree people's freedoms, but it's appropriate and understandable when it is for the greater good. That is at the heart of how we legislate. That is at the heart of why we make certain decisions. And you're supposed to democratically vote on the government to make these kinds of decisions and yada, yada, yada. But this kind of action is not even remotely good. Like, what are the benefits? What are the benefits other than if you're a transphobic person, you're like, hell yeah, we're owning them. Hell yeah, we're dominating them. You know what I mean? I guess that's it. That's the only thing that comes out of it, right? And there are many issues, many complications that arise when you make these kinds of decisions. Like when she travels now, if she goes to any other country, she's at the mercy of the border guards there. Like, they might actually give her issues, right? Because of the sex marker on her passport. Everywhere that she has to use her passport, she is going to run into issues.
This is the first time, this has happened to me since I changed my gender marker. We're coming up on a decade now or something. And I do believe it is a direct result of...
Personally, I've just never found gender, trans, queer discourse is interesting. Yeah, okay. I mean, that's fine. But there are plenty of people in here that do care about it. Also, you're talking about like colonialism and stuff. Here, I'll give you one example. Palestine skate game. Okay. Countries that were not victim to Western colonialism oftentimes have very different attitudes about gender, or countries that are removed from, or countries that are far away from Western influence, unironically have very different attitudes about gender and queerness in general. That in and of itself, I think, should probably explain to you that, like, our current understanding of gender, like being a rigid binary, unironically is reinforced in perpetuity by Western colonialists. Let people live is my argument always. Okay. Like, if you want to think about it from the perspective of like colonial domination, yes, the rigid binary, the rigid binary that is enforced upon people is a remnant of old, antiquated Western supremacist colonial actions.
Administration our country is currently operating under. And I guess I'm just sort of scared of the way this stuff like slowly gets implemented.
I'm not even just talking about like indigenous people either. I'm talking straight up, like, look at Thailand. Okay. Thailand is a great example. Look at Iran. Okay. And there are plenty of issues in terms of sexuality in Iran, and even in terms of gender in Iran as well. But like, every country has their own set of problems, but ultimately their existence, the concept of even like third gender, for example, in places like India, okay, I think should help you realize that gender as an expression is very different elsewhere. It's been different throughout time, and that our modern attitudes have nothing to do with the reality, or nothing to do with biology in general. As an AFAB MB therapist that works with only trans clients, there's so much I can say, but one thing I feel is extra important is to mention that transphobia harms everyone. Exactly. That is something that I stress regularly. A prime example being that a female athlete from the Olympics was harassed. Sorry, I'm blanking on her name. For many reasons, we should all care about this. Exactly. Transphobia. Trans people are a tiny sliver of the population. Oftentimes, it's considered to be like the fanciful Western luxury that is created of trans people, right? Like, people look at it and go, oh, this is just like white Western queers. Like, they're rich. They're labor aristocrats. They're living in the heart of empire. They got no issues. So they're just like trying to bring up new issues. Like, that is the broadest way that people look at trans people in a negative fashion. Okay. And what's interesting about it is that, one, that's not the case for uh, cultures throughout time and even cultures that exist right now. So obviously, it's unironically transphobia in and of itself, and the restrictions upon expressions of gender and expressions of sexuality that are old relics of Western empire for the most part. But beyond that, considering that trans people are a tiny margin of the population overall, consistently hyper focusing on them and trying to dominate them in this way unironically ends up harming cis people, because there's just simply a lot more cis people than there are trans people. And because gender in and of itself is simply an expression, and that no one really fits the rigid binaries that people claim it exists out there, then cis women that are athletic get owned in the marketplace of ideas. People just assume that they're trans. Look at all the TERFs in England. None of them pass. They're all cis women. Not a single one of them passes. Much to consider here. Yeah. And it's interesting because I think TERFs, especially TERFs that don't fit this rigid standard that they claim exists out there, and that it's like completely biological, assume that if there was a full-blown eradication of transness, that like people would never suspect them of being trans potentially. But they don't realize that like it has nothing to do with someone's actual gender expression, and everything to do with like dominating people. This is why I always say it's not being trans that is a mental illness. It is transphobia that is a mental illness, because the starting point is inherently mistaking something that is a social construct with biology, and then leading down this like very weird path where, because gender is so closely associated with your identity, you end up seeing trans people in the shadows, basically. That's where you arrive at transvestigation, which is the highest state of transphobia. And transvestigations, the concept of suspecting any and every person of being trans, potentially, makes you an insane person. There are transvestigators out there who literally think their own parents, they suspect their own parents of potentially being trans. They inevitably suspect themselves as being trans, potentially. Okay? It's a hyperfixation. And it leads you further and further astray. It leads you down this this mental illness pipeline. You know? So I always say, let it go. Let people exist. You know, give them room to breathe. If it doesn't harm you, why do you care? What is your problem?
You know, because things just sort of like start happening. I think, as we've seen in like historical rises of fascism and this sort of everything that this new administration.
Please address the fact that this entire argument is based on the difference between sex and gender, and the passport says sex on it. Are we going to ignore that? This could be solved by adding a line to the document to differentiate between the two. Yeah, it doesn't matter, because everybody understands that what is on the passport is just simply gender. Okay? This is not like a semantics argument that these guys had a oopsie on. Okay? They're very clearly, very deliberately putting that there and changing it by force. Okay? And also, even sex is not a binary. So what do you do then? Like, even the biological aspect of sex is not a fucking binary. They used to say that only two genders, man and woman, sex. And then they had to learn more about, they've had to forcibly change the conversation. Ben Shapiro went from calling sex binary. Ben Shapiro first said it's gender is binary. Then, of course, they had to change the conversation a little bit to say, oh, no, that's just sex. Sex is biology. Gender is something different, but it doesn't matter. Sex is associated closely with your gender. Then they had to also say, okay, maybe sex itself, considering intersex people, considering all this other stuff, is also not a binary either. Okay? So now they say it's, what is it? Bimodal? Like there's two planks that you are either close to or not. Give it 10 more years, they'll be talking about abolishing gender at this point. You know what I mean? Because you just can't deny it. You can't deny the reality. It's just the cat's out of the bag. You know what I mean? Cat's out of the fucking bag. You just can't do anything about it. There's no way to just like, unless you do forcible suppression, which is what the administration wants to spend its limited resources on, seemingly, you're not going to be able to get away from this reality. You know, people are trans. They've always been trans, and they're going to continue being fucking trans. That's it. Just like people are gay, and they're always going to be gay. There are excellent courses on gender out there, and I believe the MB folks have real pain and real experience. I just think eventually we're going to be like, oh no, we went all in on this and failed to center acute forms of socioeconomic pain. No, I rarely ever talk about trans issues specifically from the perspective of identity. And I always maintain the position that, like, when you're doing advocacy or when you're writing policy, when you're trying to win elections, I don't center trans people and defending trans people as the main point of contention, because I'm not a fucking Democrat. I'm not a fucking liberal. I often will remind people that all of these things that are being done for the sake of pure cruelty and nothing else is being done as a simple distraction, because any kind of cruel action that the administration engages in against trans people like this is a moment that they could be fixing your healthcare, is a moment that they could be fixing the potholes, but they choose not to do that sort of stuff because that would require actually governing for the population and not just simply using the government as a way to distribute more wealth and resources back to the most powerful people on this fucking planet. Okay? And that trans people do not exist in a magical space outside of the regular economic pressures that everyone else experiences. Trans people are working in the workforce alongside all of you. Trans people also have to pay rent. Trans people also have the same exact issues, relationship issues, monetary problems. They experience all of this alongside you. But then on top of that, they also have this additional problem that they have to deal with. Which is why I often say, it's none of your damn business, and why do you care? How does this harm you in any way? And that is precisely the reason why Republicans try to find an answer for that desperately. And the only answer they can come up with ultimately is, oh, well, they're all pedophiles, or they're all transing the children. It's a falsehood. It's ridiculous. It's a harmful lie that they present over and over again. But they do that for basically everything. Everything has to be built around a complete fucking lie, you know?
Kind of represents, there's a lot of talk, and then things start happening, and we start to normalize the circumstances we're under. And I just feel like it's important to share that it's not just talk, that this is real, and it's happening, and no one agency, no matter their circumstance, no matter how wealthy or white.
Yeah, by the way, they did this with gay people too, with the exact same terminology, with the exact same attacks, but because of legislation, well, one, because of activism, and because of people constantly pushing and pushing and pushing, trans people included, once it became impossible to avoid the elephant in the room that gay people do exist, okay, and the American legislative body changed, okay, then it was over. It was done, okay? It was done. It was over. So Republicans looked for a new target. They couldn't just as easily shit on gay people now, even though they still try, make no mistake, okay? They still try, but overall, most people are just like, yeah, I don't care about this. I still believe in my heart that the same will happen for trans people inevitably, okay? But there will always be these kinds of regressive hiccups along the way. But no matter how hard you try, you cannot suppress the truth, okay? That's it. Whether it be heliocentrism or the existence of trans people, you just can't suppress the truth. You can try. You can do as much harm as you possibly can, okay? But the cat's out of the bag, you know? Orb mentioned, exactly. Heliocentrism was never actually suppressed. This is a myth. It says Age of Mythology. Let me push for a myth, okay?
Or pretty or whatever. is excluded. This is real. I also want to say I don't give a fuck that they put an M on my passport. It doesn't change really anything about me or my transness. However, it does make life a little harder. Personally, I haven't tested it out yet. I'll find out next week when I have to travel abroad for the first time with my new passport. But I'm pretty sure it's gonna come along with having to out myself to like border patrol agents and that whole gig much more often than I would like to or is really necessary. And this is just my personal circumstance. And thinking about other trans women who this might also be happening to, or other trans people, the list only gets longer as far as the intricacies that come along with the difficulty that this brings into like real.
Wait, what? So where was she before? Why didn't she say anything during the election? She's never been an activist. She enjoyed her religious life and never said a word during the election. Now she's surprised by everything. Before the election, Hunter Schaefer literally got arrested. What have you done? She got arrested at an anti-Israel protest. What have you done? You know, that's crazy. Like, what do you want her to do? Firebomb the Capitol? Like, what are you talking about? That's crazy. This in and of itself, despite her rich status, is already putting her in harm's way further. Like, once again, she's outing herself. She's putting herself in a heated political battle that revolves around her identity. Like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? This right here is already the action.
Life shit. This is getting very long, but I just want to say trans people are beautiful. We are never going to stop existing. I'm never going to stop being trans.
Yeah, but being quiet and unaware about trans issues in a trans woman still doesn't make sense. She's cool. Why do you think she's quiet and unaware about trans issues? So it's cool she got arrested for protesting genocide, but there's a weird blind spot. What are you talking about? Why is this the assumption that she is quiet and oblivious to trans issues? What is happening? I can't tell if this is like other trans people getting mad at Hunter Schaefer, or if it's just like random woke cis people that are like, she didn't do enough. She didn't vote for Kamala, so now she deserves it. I'm going to misgender her now. Like, what is happening? Galaxy ending woke of the day. Liberals are so crazy. They'd be putting trans people in concentration camps, and on the way, liberals would be like, well, you deserve it because you didn't vote for Kamala Harris. Like, what the hell? Y'all are crazy, man. Trans people being held to a higher standard of activism than chatters hold themselves. Yeah.
A letter and a passport can't change that, and fuck this administration. And I don't really have an answer on what to do about this, but I feel it was important to share. This is real.
What are they talking about? She helped with the anti-trans bathroom bill in North Carolina turned over. That was back in 2007 too. She's been an advocate. Yeah. But also back then, she did it selfishly. You understand that there's always something you can say. There's always something you can say, oh, it wasn't enough. Or of course she's going to push for that because it was popular, even if it wasn't, right? You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. None of it matters. At a certain point, you have to understand that people are just talking shit because they want to talk shit. Okay? They are just trying to moralize it. They're just trying to add something else to the conversation so they can talk shit from a morally righteous position. That's all this is. Also here, another perfect example of like transphobia that is supposed to be protecting women, cis women, not protecting cis women. Here are Tucson cops trying to arrest someone for being in the women's restroom, had to argue for 5 minutes.
They came in here in the girls' restroom because I'm a girl and they didn't think I was a girl. So they try to come take me away because I'm a girl.
Hashtag stud life is awesome. Hashtag stud life is a fucking amazing. Hashtag stud life. Oh my God. You hate men in the women's bathroom, so you transvestigate biological, in air quotes, women, call the cops on them, and check note, invite 2 men to the bathroom men don't belong in to harass the women you claim you want to protect. Okay? Yeah. This is from like 2020. It doesn't matter. It happens all the time, by the way. It's a perfect representation. You got crazy, psychotic, transphobic cis women suspecting like a cis black lesbian woman of being a trans woman, okay? And then calling whole ass dudes into the women's restroom in full cop gear. Do you not understand? That's how it works. This is how it works. This is one of the most foreseeable negative consequences of this kind of unrestricted transphobia. For every trans person that you successfully capture, okay, and successfully harm, you're getting like 100 fucking cis people in the process. Yes, I know how it works. I'm trans. Let the people know, though. Okay. Well, I don't know. How am I supposed to know if you're trans or not? What do you mean? You're an anonymous account, chatter. You have to understand. Like, my assumption isn't that every single person that is correcting the record is doing so as a trans person. Anyway, it doesn't even matter. Okay. Even though there are a lot of you, a lot of your kind in this goddamn community. Too much. Anyway, where was I? No, I know they meant that let the people know. Why would you say that so ominously? Because I'm a foe, dude. And you know who else is a foe, apparently? Liv Agar. I welcome Liv Agar to the LGBT foe community in open arms, okay? Thank God. Finally, someone brave enough to be a foe openly. Heated exchange between President Trump and Governor Janet Mills over transgender women in sports.
We need people in the country, but they have to come in legally. 2 weeks ago, I signed an executive order banning men from playing in women's.
Dude, once we make sure that trans people don't have the correct gender on their passports and like can't participate, all 40 of them are no longer allowed to participate in sports at all. The egg prices are going to go down. I promise. Okay? I promise. Chat, trust me. My goat, Donald Trump, okay? The legend himself, he is going to floor the egg prices, okay? Rent is going down. Everybody knows every landlord is trans, okay? Obviously, every landlord is trans. So clearly, the price of rent going down. Every egg is trans, okay? Everybody knows trans people exclusively eat a diet comprised of eggs and nothing else. So egg prices also going down. It's coming down any day now. Any day now. All of your problems are going to be solved now that we got 40 fucking people that participated in athletics out of the equation. It's not even 40 anymore. This year is less than 10 on the NCAA level. This is such a non-issue. Exactly. Oh no, but those 10 people, what if they were too dominant? Which they weren't, by the way, but it doesn't matter.
Sports. Many Democrats are fighting me on that. I hope you continue because you'll never win another race. And it's just crazy. If you look at what happened with the boxing, if you look at what happened with the weightlifting numbers, where a record that hadn't been broken for 19 years got shattered. But, you know, they put up an eighth of an ounce here, an eighth of an ounce there, and it's 218 pounds or whatever was that. And hadn't been broken in 19 years. And then guy walks up who transitioned. He transitioned, and he knocked out that record by about 100 pounds. That will be a record not going to be broken again.
Lying is OP, please nerf. Lying is OP, please nerf. Mods. Lying too OP. Nerf.
So we put a ban on it. And
God forbid, first of all, God forbid any trans person has ever dominated for like one fucking athletic competition ever, one time, okay? You will never hear the fucking end of it, okay? You will never hear the end of it. Out of the limited number of trans athletes that exist out there, they are not dominant, okay, in the field of competition. This is just a lie. And even if they were, I still would not care, okay? I just want to explain this to you. I don't care. People look at this and they go, cheating. It's cheating. It's cheating. People are just transing themselves specifically to win athletic competitions. I don't see it that way. I don't think people are just simply transing themselves, okay? The process is endlessly complicated and you're fucking yourself over, Okay, you're fucking yourself over for no reason other than to win athletic endeavors. You're out of your goddamn mind. You're not allowed to lie if you're a politician, though? Yeah, of course. This is probably one area I do agree with. Best analogy, someone like Michael Phelps. No, there's an even better analogy. I've talked about this quite a bit, okay? It's Lionel Messi. Lionel Messi actually took a shit ton of hormones initially. Like he took HGH because of his disease, his genetic disease. Barcelona took a massive gamble on him and offered him this like complicated medical process because he was unimaginably talented. Okay? Like, but of course that's not seen as quote unquote cheating. And it's fine. There's no issue with this. Like there is no problem with this, okay? People have genetic advantages and people have medical advantages that take place as well, or people to get medical treatment as well that would be considered completely unacceptable. Can you stop giving shitty arguments to Cristiano Ronaldo fans? I mean, I have no issue with Messi and the hormone therapy that he underwent early on in his life. Okay? There's no issue with that at all. It is a tiny, minuscule percentage. These people literally personally think that, every athlete is just going to trans themselves, quote unquote. There are already pretty significant, even at times when trans people have been able to participate in athletic endeavors. It is a very unpopular subject matter, for the record. I know that. Okay. The average person literally does not want a trans person to be anywhere near sports. Okay. They just don't want, especially trans women. They just don't want it because it's a very successful avenue of attack because Americans believe in meritocracy in sports, especially. And when you pair that up with like the assumption that trans people are weird and sinister and transing themselves for a multitude of different reasons and not because they are trans, okay, but for some other secret third reason I will not mention, right? That's like the general attitude. They think, okay, they're transing themselves for sports. Okay? Yeah. There are very prominent examples of how it's virtually impossible to find someone that like unironically trans themselves specifically to win athletic competitions. And that's precisely the reason why the only people that do that are Republican charlatans, the Steven Crowders of the world, okay? Who will just be like, we couldn't find a real existing example of someone that like faked being trans because the process is so goddamn complicated and messy to begin with, okay? So, people like Ben Shapiro, who initially wanted to make a documentary on people who are faking being trans or whatever, couldn't find anyone that would go through the process of like actually undergoing HRT. So they just made a movie instead. That's where Lady Ballers came from. They initially wanted to make a documentary. They couldn't find any real existing examples. So they just made it up. Okay. This is the whole point. It's the whole process. It's the same principle. I'll give you another example that virtually everyone understands, a more popular position that Republicans have also undermined. Abortions. Republicans lie and say people are getting fun abortions, okay? Republicans make it seem as though people are volunteering to carry pregnancies almost to term for 9 months just to get a fun abortion, just to feel the thrill of getting an abortion. It's ridiculous. It is completely made up, okay? That is not a real thing. Except Republicans have repeated that lie so many times that there's enough people that believe it. Or even if they don't believe it, they'll point to that to say, this is why we have to, restrict the abortions that people get. Okay? I'll just cut my legs off to play in the Paralympics. Exactly. And Republicans endlessly love burning the candle on both ends. If you want to limit the number of abortions that happen, you should be an advocate for sex ed. You should be an advocate for contraceptives and education surrounding contraceptives and the usage of it. But of course, they don't want that either. Lo and behold, they don't want to do that either. And the same goes for the unfair competitive element of trans people in sports. If you want to completely eradicate the unfairness argument in and of itself, then allow people to use puberty blockers. Okay? Allow people to use with obviously rigorous medical examination to utilize puberty blockers. Hunter Schaefer is a great example of what happens when you do use puberty blockers, okay, and can transition. Except they don't want to do that either because they don't want to actually solve a problem. They want to create a problem when there is no such problem that exists and then you know, constantly complain about it. Messi didn't take hormones because he wanted to or because he wanted to have an advantage. He took them because he had a diagnosed hormonal growth problem. Wait, that's the argument. Exactly. Do you think trans people are taking hormones because they want to have an advantage? Or do you think they're doing it because they're trans? Your comparison is stupid with respect. It's like saying that asthmatics take salbutamol to have an advantage. Do you realize how stupid that sounds? I love you, Hasi. Mock, mock, mock. No, that's the point. That is literally the point. That is exactly what I'm saying. That's why I say there's nothing wrong with Messi taking these hormones. Hello? You just basically repeated the argument that I'm making and then said it's different though because trans people are different. Unless your underlying suspicion is that trans people are transitioning for some nefarious purpose, you must understand that there are living, breathing examples of people that have also taken hormones for good reasons, okay, for necessary medical reasons, and have become fantastic athletes in the process as well, you know? But this is an understandable blind spot for many people, okay? And it takes a long-ass time for people to come to that conclusion. There is this deep-seated, very important association that we have with our gender. It's a very important part of our identity. It has to be constantly reinforced. So I'm much more understanding of people who have, what the fuck, Tolga Yilmaz amına koyayım. I can't believe this chatter's username is literally a dude that I have stopped playing Dota over. Like, this chatter remembers me in high school. Like, I've talked about my experiences in high school and why I never played MOBA games. And I've given that as an example of a person that I hated in high school. And he changed his username to that. Yeah, it's a joke name. No, I know. All right, let's continue.
To protect women. I mean, the women, if you watch the Olympics, you had two transitioned people that were fighting in the women's boxing. They have women's boxing category. That wasn't even the case. They're just lying. You saw that. It was brutal. What happened to the Italian woman was a really good boxer. After one punch, she said, no more. I've never been hit. It was a left. It was not even it was just a left jab. She got hit so hard, she said, I can't do it. They forced her to go out. No, go out again. You'll do it. Goes out again, gets hit again. No, that's it. She didn't want to die.
That's the craziest part about this also, is that, like, she's literally Algerian, okay? A country where you definitely can't be trans, okay? So now we are deciding, okay? We're deciding, like, who out of the cis women, like, what level, like, what kind of cis women are allowed to compete, okay? Yeah. We're doing this to protect women, which is why only ladies that I consider to be sexy are allowed to fight now, okay? If I think someone is too good, even if they have a natural advantage, okay? Even if they have a natural advantage, I don't like that, okay? That's crazy.
And it's crazy, but
when you get down to it, only white women can be women as their core position. Yeah, it's fucking nuts. Like, you have to also be dainty. If you're a female athlete, you literally can't be brolic because I will suspect you of being trans, and I will, even if you are not, you're delusional. I'm delusional for saying that a fucking Algerian Muslim woman, okay, who dominated in the women's boxing division, like, I have to just imagine them as being trans because Republicans just don't think that she fits the stereotype of what they consider to be a woman. Like, what am I doing? It's just so crazy because it's, like, just such a spectacular example of people's lack of interest in the truth. Okay? It's just people are not interested in the truth at all. They're like, nah, this lie is actually way better for me. It makes me feel better. So I might as well just keep going with the lie and call everyone delusional. It's also funny because, you know, she's fucking Algerian. Like, that's what makes it funnier, because it's like, yeah, dude, Algeria, the woke country, okay? It was proven in leaked medical report that he is a man. Yeah, hilariously, she's lost several fights to cis women in the past. Well, she's also a cis woman. Yeah, Algeria was woke.
Has complied immediately, by the way. That's good. But I understand Maine. Is Maine here, the governor of Maine? Are you not going to comply with it? Well, we are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better.
Yeah, they did this on Castlevania too.
You better comply because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding. Every state, good, I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one. And enjoy your life after governor because I don't think you'll be in elected politics.
The only countries that are being trans allowed are Turkey, Tunisia, and ironically Iran. Yeah.
Every state has a responsibility to comply with Title IX. They have an obligation, a legal obligation, and we'll be enforcing aggressively, and we're going to be protecting our citizens.
Yeah. No, this is definitely going to fix all of our issues, guys. I promise. Any day now. Any day now. Any day now. Okay? Trust. Anyway, there was more on that. Trump has some comments on an interview with Brian Kilmeade, but yeah, the NCAA has complied immediately. We already watched it. Janet Mills says, yeah, I'm here. Are you not going to comply? I'm going to comply with state and federal law. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all. See you in court. Enjoy your life after governor because I don't think you'll be elected in elected politics. I'm trans and I can confirm that we're responsible for inflation. Look, my point is, all of this is obviously very dangerous and very damaging, okay? Very dangerous and very damaging for trans people, but Republicans are wielding this as a weapon, okay? Because they're bullies. They're weak bullies. This is weak bully shit. You attack people that don't have you attack people that are in the margins when you are a weak person, okay? You attack people in the margins when you are a weak person. And the Republicans use this over and over again. They vice signal over and over again deliberately to make people feel like they're actually doing something at the behest of the regular public when the major reasons as to why they won was because the Democrats had no real answers for the inflation crisis that people were experiencing. And the Republicans falsely redirected that anger to trans people and undocumented immigrants. Genuine question, though. Who's going to stop them, bullies or not? I mean, I think pushback is an absolute necessity at this point. I'm from Maine. I would like to say it's nice being represented by a Dem that isn't a spineless ghoul for once. Yeah, there are some. I mean, as much as I obviously criticize and despise even my governor, there are certain avenues where, like, Democratic governors will do a lot to, protect their citizens in this regard. J.B. Pritzker is another great example of this, and Newscomb is a good example of this as well. I mean, he's horrible when it comes to combating homelessness. He's Mr. Homeless Annihilator, okay? But he is pretty good when it comes to at least moving in the direction of some kind of criminal justice reform, which he's been attacked viciously over, and also, protecting abortion and protecting queer people in general. Potential upside, Janice sucks and hasn't been the biggest friend of progressives. Despite being a Dem, she's essentially just a blue Susan Collins from his cop family. So Trump is going hard on this, might force her to take some stronger left stances. But the Dem state speaker of the House and other reps on record calling her the biggest holdup to progress in the state. Have you gone over the Karen Bass? No, I have not. I have not gone over the Karen Bass rally. Do you guys have a link to that? For the record, at 2 p.m., I'm going to swap over to do the Marvel Rivals. I'm going to play Marvel Rivals for 2 hours, and then I'm going to go back and continue doing news coverage as well. So there will be some gaming news in the immediate future. Los Angeles mayor removes fire chief, blaming her for lack of preparation. Mayor Karen Bass criticized Kristen Crowley for sending firefighters home before a blaze devastated the Pacific Palisades neighborhood. I like that Karen Bass, in an effort to, please, Lord, could you not sniffle into the fucking mic? No. There you go. Kisses for everybody. Cut that out. No, I'm kissing you. I like that Karen Bass is also taking advantage of the DEI, the anti-DEI. You're disgusting. I hate you so much. You're disgusting. That's insane. I am literally a human being. Okay? There is virtually nothing I can do about this. Like, this is a normal human component. Okay? Calm down. That is psychotic to be like, wow, you're going through the functions of a human being. Really messed up. I hate it. Anyway, all right. I find you very attractive. Thank you. Okay. Where were we? Do we have the video of the Karen Bass press conference? Do y'all have that video or no? Does anyone have that? Chatters want you to be a brain in a robot like Fallout 3. Yeah. A girl from my high school intern for Karen Bass. Yikes. Yeah. Anyway, Karen Bass is basically using the DEI stuff to her advantage by turning around and attacking another person, even though, you know, she was public enemy number one. Okay. You woke up Kaya. Go apologize to her.
Of Los Angeles Public Safety and for the operations of the Los Angeles Fire Department. I just met with Chief Crowley and removed her as fire chief.
That's what it had come to. People using pool water, people using water bottles trying to put the fire.
So here we go.
Yeah, it's actually the fire chief that is at fault here. It's also crazy because like the fire chief literally played ball for the longest time too, in spite of the fact that Karen Bass actively did not give the Los Angeles Fire Department additional funds that they were demanding. Okay? What a crazy situation. Full sit-down interview with her and Alex Michelson as well. Nice. My boy Alex.
Mayor Bass, always good to see you.
All right. Mayor Karen Bass's first sit-down since the Palisades fire, full interview. That was from a day ago, but let's watch this.
We're going to cut you off. We're going to the mayor right now.
Thank you, Gigi. Let's listen in.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. Acting in the best interest of Los Angeles Public Safety and for the operations of the Los Angeles Fire Department, I just met with Chief Crowley and removed her as fire chief. I have appointed a 41-year veteran of the fire department, former Chief Deputy Ronald Villanueva, as interim fire chief. He is respected and ready to hit the ground running. So
yeah, as though she wasn't respected, you know? As though she wasn't respected. Nice.
Let me be clear. Our firefighters acted heroically during the Palisades fire, and they act heroically every single day. That is without question. Bringing new leadership to the fire department is what they and the people of Los Angeles deserve. As you know, I have called for a full investigation of everything leading up to January 7th. A necessary step to the investigation was the president of the Fire Commission telling Chief Crowley to do an after-action report on the fires. The fire chief refused. We all know that 1,000 firefighters that could have been on duty on the morning the fires broke were instead sent home on Chief Crowley's watch. These actions required her removal. While the department is in the experienced and expert hands of Chief Villanueva, my office will lead a national search, and I will speak directly with firefighters and Angelenos about what they want to see in the next fire chief. I will use a similar process as I did in searching for our police chief. The business of the fire department and the city will continue. Our heroic firefighters are on the job in our firehouses, engines, trucks, and ambulances. The recovery of the Palisades is months ahead of expectations. Los Angeles is moving forward on all fronts, and we will keep moving forward together. I'd now like to introduce the Chief of the Los Angeles Fire Department, Ronnie Villanueva.
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor. I am humbled by your confidence in me. I've spent 41 years at the Los Angeles City Fire Department, working alongside the finest fire professionals in the world. Leading them is an honor of a lifetime. I pledge to the mayor, our firefighters, and to the people of Los Angeles is that
when I heard Villanueva, I thought to myself, what if he's like, you know, what if he's got too much indigenous in him? You know what I mean? Like, thank God we finally destroyed DEI. I was worried. I heard Villanueva and I thought to myself, like, what if he's got what is it called? Mestizo? Like he might be, you know? Oh brother. I mean, if he's like a little too tan, all of a sudden maybe too much Latiner, okay? But thank God he's, you know, vanilla. in spite of his DEI last name.
That the Los Angeles City Fire Department will be prepared. The Los Angeles City Fire Department will respond, and the Los Angeles City Fire Department will keep you safe. And to all the firefighters, I want you to know, the love that I have for this department is the reason I'm coming back in this capacity. I watched last month as you were in the fiercest firefight in Los Angeles history, bravely battling the fires for days on end.
Like, I don't think he's a loser, by the way, chat. Come on. Like, I don't know his background enough. I'm not instantly going to assume that he's like bad at his job or whatever. But make no mistake, Karen Bass is trying to do ass covering. And in the process of ass covering, she's quite literally, she's trying to shift the blame over to a target, a vector of hate that the Republicans have falsely associated with why the wildfires were ravaging through Los Angeles. Okay? That's all this is. And I suspect that all the dumbest people in America are going to eat this up to be like, you know, I don't like Karen Bass. Ironic because, like, you know, as a black woman, she is also victim to the exact same ridiculous narratives. Okay? But here she is using those narratives against her fire chief.
I am grateful to work alongside all of you once again. Thank you very much.
And before I open it up for questions, let me acknowledge the President of the City Council, Marquise Harris Dawson, Councilmember Curran Price, Councilmember Hugo Soto Martinez, Councilmember Adrien Nazarian. Yes.
Well, you know, I've got a question for you. You said that removing Chief Crowley is in the best interest of Los Angeles public safety. What specifically did she do to endanger public safety?
Well, as I mentioned, 1,005.
Yeah, let me tell you what she did, okay? She defended you for the longest time until basically it was virtually impossible to defend. And people were actively and openly revealing that she had demanded more from the Los Angeles budgets that you refused to give her because you were too busy investing in the police force, okay? That's it. That's precisely what happened. And Karen Bass, who is also sometimes unfairly maligned, but usually fairly criticized, especially by the left, but sometimes unfairly maligned by the exact same reactionary forces that are like, oh, well, she's a black woman, so she's, of course, DEI and incompetent, was able to use that vector of hate and shift it in the direction of the fire chief, who, in my estimation, is way less responsible for the damages. That is crazy. America is so insane.
Firefighters who could have been on the job fighting the fires were sent home. The other thing that I mentioned is that I said after the fires were out, after the rain had stopped, that a full investigation would begin. One step of that investigation was to do an after-action report, of which she refused.
So we knew the 1,000 firefighters could have been called in the day after the fire. What changed?
What changed?
Because you said you weren't planning on firing her on January 11th.
Oh, well, let me just be clear. As I just said, while Los Angeles was on fire, after that we had rains. I was not going to do anything while we were in a state of emergency. Next. No, we are not in a state of emergency right now. Next question.
Mayor.
Yes.
The chief, I assume you met. I assume this is not a decision.
Y'all hate black women. I'm a black woman. I'm a black woman, and y'all do hate us. It's because of the wind. It's wind. The wind is to blame. Y'all hate black women. Yeah. Karen Bass, as a black woman, obviously loves black people. That's precisely the reason why she gave the racist Los Angeles Police Department hundreds of millions of extra dollars at a time when all of the other city resources were desperately looking for more funds. Please, not today. No, I'm done with this shit. I mean, I've been done with this shit in perpetuity. I've been done with this shit since the beginning. You can't just come in here and be like, oh, criticizing Karen Bass is actually an indication that you hate black women. She's my fucking mayor, dude. What are you talking about? You can't come in here and make ridiculous assertions like this. Like, who do you think? Like, how can you make this statement about the mayor of Los Angeles when one of the major criticisms here is that she loved to redirect resources to the police force instead of social programs, instead of the fire department? How insane. God, no one thinks like this, okay? No one thinks like this. This is not real. This is not valid. It's not a valid point of criticism. It's like getting mad at me for shitting on Candace Owens and being like, well, it's because you hate black women. Yeah. And also, yeah, another black mayor that I regularly criticize, Eric Adams. I guess it's because I hate black men too. Oh, there are people online who attack you anytime you criticize black people. They assume it's because they're black and not because they're just bad people. I'm black, by the way, just in case other chatters get mad. Yeah, I mean, it's so ridiculous. Ronnie Villanueva is not a white man, for those of you who are saying that. No, but come on, chatter. We're talking about, like, obviously he's Hispanic, but also he's white enough. Like, he's white Hispanic. The reason why he was brought back is because he's a cis man for the most part and, you know, fairly white passing. I'm not even saying that he's bad at his job. I would never say that, especially without any sort of additional, like, if I would have to look into his background. I suspect that he's not bad, but there is a very clear purpose. Like, this is an anti-DEI move at a time when DEI, which is a substitute for you're black or you're trans or you're lesbian, you're just not like a form-fitting cis het white man. Okay. Karen Bass is literally pulling on that same DEI string when she also is victim to those narratives from time to time. That's what's so crazy about it.
An hour ago. It was very brief. It was a very brief meeting, no.
And the investigation
Yes.
that she didn't participate in.
Yes.
Chowder, clarify yourself. Yes, the indefinite y'all hate black women is true. Don't direct it at him without clarifying. But yes, internalized racism is the thing too in the general. The y'all society hates black women. Yes, but in this circumstance, I'm literally qualifying that Karen Bass oftentimes gets additional criticism because she's a black woman. But there's also warranted and valid criticism that I'm applying to Karen Bass. And also ironically, pointing to the reality that she is at times victim to these DEI narratives, and now she's using it as a parachute. Do you understand? She's firing the DEI fire chief in an effort to get some of the stink off her back, okay?
Well, what I said is that the president of the Fire Commission told her to do a after-action report. She refused to do the report.
Did she give a reason for refusing?
Next.
Yes, thanks, Madam Mayor. Did the former chief ever talk about, what plan was in place, where she had a position? Is that
It is not. Next question? Yes.
Is the city required to do an after-action report under Title 19?
Yes, it is required. I don't know about the title that you just mentioned, but yes, it is. I do not know that. Yes?
You have said that Chief Crowley did not call and inform your office ahead of time as they have done with previous fires. I'm wondering, what's the person they called before previous fires? You think you made our public safety Brian Williams, who's on leave?
What I can tell you is that what has happened in the 2+ years I've been here, every time there was a weather emergency or even a hint of a weather emergency, the chief has called me directly. She has my cell phone. She knows she can call me 24/7. And she briefed me, and then we would talk about what needed to happen next. That did not happen this time. Yes. Yes. Excuse me. Yes.
When she was asked to do the after-action report, and what was her justification?
I don't know her justification. She was asked this week. I learned about this yesterday. Yeah, it was this week. Yes. Yes.
You haven't seen any of the forecasts before you went to Ghana?
Yes. I don't know. I don't know what the reason was.
Yeah, she don't know because she was in Ghana. She's like, I wasn't here. Sorry. Wasn't here for that. Wasn't Ghana. So, didn't find out. She's not Ghana answer. It's true. Good one.
Yes. No. Yes. I spoke to her.
Yeah, this is also, Bass says LAFD Chief Crowley failed to warn her about fire risk. Also, Karen Bass, there's an expected destructive and potentially life-threatening windstorm starting Tuesday morning through Wednesday afternoon. Red flag, no parking restrictions will go into effect in certain areas tomorrow morning. Stay safe, LA. Join Notify LA here. Karen Bass was somehow able to warn all of Los Angeles about the impending winds and fire danger, but still finds a way to blame LAFD Chief Crowley for not warning her about impending winds and fire danger. Lying is OP, please nerf. This is bullshit. There was an immediate recall of all firemen and the fire started. After the fire started, my brother's a literal LA City fireman and he got the call. She's full of shit. Yeah, lying is OP, please nerf. See, thank God. Thank God that under this new administration, with these new rules, or rather an extension of the old rules where you could just like kind of lie and get away with it, even the Democrats can take advantage of the DEI narratives. That's why we're bringing back a white man in charge, okay?
Evening of the 7th. Yes, exactly, which was the morning here. So it was after the fires started. But let me just be clear. Los Angeles needs to move forward. This is a new day. I am excited to welcome our new chief, who was a 41-year veteran of this fire department. He is well known. He is well liked. He knows most of the members of the city council, except for our 2 members that were recently elected. And it is our plan to continue moving forward. We want to have the full investigation that the governor has ordered and the investigation that we will do locally. Yes.
Thank you again. I wanted to back it up a little bit because I think you actually spoke with the chief, because I heard it live on KNX News at 12:47 p.m. local time. You're in West Africa. The chief is here, and you're on KNX News talking about the fire.
Yes.
Disaster, and you're praising Chief Crowley for pre-positioning units that were
Yeah, you were. Yeah, what happened then? That's the other side of this. Huh, interesting.
in vulnerable places. You're also praising her leadership, and you said something to the effect that LAFD is always at the ready.
And needless to say, I did not know all the facts, but I had spoken to her maybe a couple of hours before that. Yes?
And, 2 quick questions. In terms of investigations, and since we're looking at the fire, has there been calls for the firing of EWB's chief over the issue of the reservoirs?
There will be an investigation of the water situation as well, and that will be done by the governor.
What does lying is OP please nerf mean? Okay, OP means overpowered. Nerfing is to, you know, lower its power. Is a gaming term. God damn it. This community on twitch.tv, a video game platform, is so oblivious to gaming. It is crazy. It is crazy. No wonder people just leave in droves when I play video games.
All of that is being examined at the governor's initiation, and we might do something locally as well.
That now, as explained as it is, it's also a reaction to her criticism to your office about the budget and what it's done.
Let me just be clear about the budget. The fire department was not cut. I have done 2 budgets in my time here.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Both budgets, the budget was increased, and I will anticipate that it will be increased this time as well.
I see you have 4 members of City Council behind you.
I'm sorry?
I see 4 members back that other members of City Council will fight the ouster.
Make your cam smaller. I can't see. It just says chief, man. You're not missing too much of the screen when my cam is a little bit larger. Trust me.
I believe that there is a lot of support on the City Council. Yes?
Does this add to the sense of upheaval that has been going on for the last 5 weeks? You've had tensions with Lindsay Horvath. You've had back and forth over Steve Soberoff's pay. This now is a new, potentially destabilizing event. Is the city in upheaval, and is your office?
The city is not in upheaval. I am very happy that the rebuilding, the restoration, the clearing of the fire, of the debris is moved forward way ahead of time.
She's also not very good at like responding to these questions. Like, I feel like you should probably have like your lies ready to go. You know what I mean? Bass has appointed former Chief Deputy Ronnie Villanueva, a 41-year-old LAFD veteran. In a statement, Bass says firing Crowley is necessary to ensure public safety. She adds, we know that 1,000 firefighters that could have been on duty in the morning the fires broke out were instead sent home on Chief Crowley's watch. Furthermore, a necessary step to an investigation was the president of the Fire Commission telling Chief Crowley to do an after-action report on the fires. The chief refused. These require her removal. Now, in terms of like the 1,000 firefighters, like what is the suspicion here? Like, is she implying that the Los Angeles Fire Department chief was deliberately sending firefighters away because she wanted the fires to just destroy LA? Is that what it is? Like, the LAFD Fire Department chief is actually secretly pro fire. That's what she was invested in. She was like, oh, hell yeah. Yeah, it's not negligence. Okay. It's most likely because overcrowding is an issue on the line, and it's a normal part of the process. And then they were immediately called into duty anyway. Whenever these people also most likely pull people off duty, they're probably doing that because of budget issues as well. Ironically enough, something that the Los Angeles, like, the real reason why she got fired is because she correctly said, yes, we demanded more budgets. Like, we demanded higher budgets for the fire department. And we had to basically rotate the people that are not immediately on the line away and not be able to hire as many people as we needed, which is the truth. And then that made Karen Bass look bad, even though it is the truth, because she was too busy investing more of the additional resources back into the police department. Okay. Remember Karen Bass's deputy mayor called in a bomb threat to City Hall and still wasn't fired? Wait, what? What the hell? I'm sure there are valid reasons for why the 1,000 firefighters were called off the line initially. Firefighters were sent home because there weren't enough fire trucks. Why? Because they were broken. Why were they broken? Because Karen Bass cut the budget. Okay, that does also make sense, for the record. Yeah. Because remember, the fire department, Los Angeles Fire Department, needed additional funds specifically for maintenance. Okay? This is something that they actively talked about. They were like, we need more funds for maintenance. Okay? We need to hire more maintenance people. If we don't have more maintenance people, we can't actually fix the fire trucks. If we don't have enough fire trucks, then there's overcrowding on the line, and we're just, getting firefighters to basically run around without the necessary equipment. The LA City accountant, Kenneth Mayha, put the budget of her cuts out to the public. She's lying. I know. Karen Bass's top firefighter ally and Crowley critic even admitted the firefighters went home because there weren't enough trucks. Why? Because 21% of the apparatus is in need of repair, but Karen Bass cut 21 fire maintenance positions. How bad is the maintenance problem? I went there on January 11th to document the maintenance yard. Rows and rows of trucks in need of repair. Huge property was packed with apparatus waiting for repair. Yeah, she cut the fire department budget by $18 million while increasing the Los Angeles Police Department budget by $126 million. There is no way to look at this. Sucks to suck for all of the people who hate the left, who always say like, oh, the left is wrong, and they're woke losers, and they hate the police for no reason or whatever. But I'm sorry, if you want to understand exactly what took place, this is the reality, okay? Karen Bass's home was raided, or not raided, but like home was broken into at the same time while they were talking about these budget concerns. And she even used that story as another reason as to why we must give more money to the police. I mean, there are charts from Los Angeles' comptroller, Kenneth Mayha, that openly show this reality as well. The police always in the United States of America are the largest part of the local budgets. Okay? My brother literally was complaining about the maintenance crew getting cut and how they would send gear to get replaced and it would take weeks. Also, literally every fireman talks shit about Bass and love Crowley. Literally heard some of my brother's buddies in department say Crowley's a good fire chief right after the fire. You know who else said she was a good fire chief? Karen Bass. Yeah. Here is the official account for the LA City Controller, Kenneth Mayha. As the city of LA goes broke, one of the many questions we get is, where are tax dollars going? The city just started a new fiscal year. And if you want to know how the mayor and a majority of city council increased or decreased the department's operational budget, see below. Police, plus $126 million. Okay. Fire got cut by $18 million. What? One of the largest cuts. Yes, operational budget is different than the overall budget. The overall budget is ginormous. All of this works together, and we covered this extensively in the aftermath of the fires, and I guess it bears repeating because Karen Bass, our Democratic woke mayor, is actively lying about it. Fantastic.
We have just experienced the worst natural disaster that our city has ever experienced. It would be wonderful to think that everything would be smooth every step of the way, but I don't believe that that is realistic. I think we are standing together. I think we're standing strong, as evidenced by the leadership of the City Council being here with me, with members of the City Council, and there's many more that.
My fire truck just got hit blocking on the highway. It will be out of service for probably a year at least. The only spare available is almost 40 years old. The squad's snorkel truck is out of service right now for 6 months already, and there is no spare snorkel for them. And yes, we are all still working without a contract closer to 4 years than 3 now. I said snorkel because I'm Turkish. Sorry, snorkel. Anyway, it's wild to me that under any circumstance, Republican administration, Democratic administration, where you have the audacity and the indecency to throw the one person, like to throw a person that is actively in charge of the response to the fires. That is crazy. Okay? That's incredible. I mean, I don't know how you can do that. I don't know how you can get away with that. It's just a wild thing. And here she is seemingly getting away with it because people are so dumb that as long as you hit a DEI line, everybody goes, all right, yeah, that makes sense to me. Pack it up.
Are not here. We have worked very well together. Now, are there differences along the way? Of course they are.
It's been a few weeks now. How can you be shocked by anything now? I mean, I'm still shocked when it's a woke Democrat mayor using not so woke lines coming from the Republican Party. Like she's hinting at the DEI aspect without actively saying it's DEI. Okay. She's using this as an opportunity. The reason why the Los Angeles Fire Department chief was in any way, shape, or form criticized was because they said she was DEI because she's a lesbian. Okay. That's it. There were good reasons to shit on Karen Bass, and then also additional factors such as DEI because Karen Bass is also a black woman. Having said that, however, Karen Bass, under a lot of warranted criticism, used the DEI-caused anger and resentment towards the Los Angeles Fire Department Fire Chief, Kristen Crowley, and threw her under the bus to save her own political career. I consider that to be completely unacceptable. Anyway, let's get back to national politics, where I suspect we'll talk about DEI again. Donald Trump celebrates his first month in office amid sweeping policy changes.
It's now on President Trump and Elon Musk purge of the federal workforce. They celebrated their sweeping change to the government last night as thousands of IRS workers are fired in the middle of tax season. Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce has the story. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, George. Well, 1 month into his term, and the president and his team are lauding their overhaul of the federal government and defending their approach. They say the thousands of federal employees fired so far deserve to go, but workers we've talked to say they've been given no real explanation. Overnight, President Trump celebrating his first month in office, touting his swift and sweeping policy changes.
A few hundred more weeks like this and we're going to be in great shape.
The president also praising Elon Musk and his team at DOGE for slashing federal agencies. Musk at a conservative conference in Washington, chainsaw in hand, boasting of his cuts as thousands of federal workers are now out of a job.
This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy.
Musk and the president now floating the idea of giving some of the money allegedly being saved by the DOGE team directly to the American people, without providing any details on how it would work.
It's money that's taken away from things that are destructive to the country and from organizations that hate you to you. That's awesome.
But direct payments would need congressional approval. Speaker Mike Johnson already throwing cold water on the idea.
We have a giant deficit that we're contending with. I think we need to pay down the credit card, right? That's what I think we need to do.
The latest target, the IRS. The agency now beginning to lay off more than 6,000 employees across the country, roughly 6% of its workforce, right in the middle of the busy tax season. Sources tell us no one being laid off plays a direct role in processing Americans' tax returns, but that there are still widespread concerns within the IRS that the layoffs could ultimately cause delays. In a letter this week, Senate Democrats warning of a catastrophic impact on the filing season and the ability of Americans to quickly get tax refunds and assistance filing their taxes this year.
This is an attempt to undermine the efficiency of the IRS.
IRS workers like Kia in Philadelphia informed by email.
I was like the first person on my team that got the email, and I just broke down into tears.
The administration insists, without providing evidence, that they are firing people for cause. But many of these fired workers who have only been on the job for less than 2 years say they've never even had a performance evaluation. Like Nicholas Berardi.
It even says here in the email that they're citing the reason why I'm fired is because of my performance. But until today, I hadn't gotten a performance review.
And this morning, the Washington Post is reporting that the president is preparing to take control of the U.S. Postal Service and dissolve its leadership. In the meantime, a federal judge has ruled that the Trump administration must restore funding to aid programs worldwide, finding the administration failed to comply with a previous order lifting the 90-day foreign aid freeze. Rebecca.
All right, and a lot of those lawsuits to come. Mary, thank you.
Riyadh, Berlin, Beijing.
CPAC, of course, was filled to the brim with morons, people who were maybe high on copious amounts of ketamine or other kinds of drugs, Elon Musk, and of course, Nazis. And here is a Nazi who has felt left out since Elon Musk has been sig-heiling a lot and once again retaining the favor of all of the worst losers online. That Nazi is Steve Bannon. Let's take a look at what he did.
Beijing, Moscow, the city of London, right here. This is not beatable.
By the way, Steve Bannon replicates Elon Musk's controversial salute to CPAC. Just fucking say it's a Nazi salute, man. What is happening? Why are we doing this? Like, I like that the media just keeps refusing to recognize exactly what this is. Okay? Oh, it's a controversial salute. Like, just say what it is, man. Your job is to say the truth. What the fuck are we doing here? What are we doing here?
You can't. The only way we lose is if we quit. The only way we don't have victory if we surrender. The only way that they win is we retreat. And we're not going to retreat. We're not going to surrender. We're not going to quit. Fight, fight, fight.
Like very clearly, there is already internal drama between Steve Bannon and Elon Musk. Bannon hates Musk. Musk is doing everything Bannon wanted to do. Musk's Twitter is a more effective far-right narrative machine compared to Breitbart. DOGE is doing what Bannon wanted to do. This is correct. Okay? I've read extensively into the background of Steve Bannon, and I've talked about him quite a bit last time around. Steve Bannon feels a little bit sidelined. I mean, he, after all, went to fucking jail for his loyalty, right? Or at least for, doing some side deals. But Steve Bannon was Donald Trump's guy, right? First time around. He got him big donors, the Mercers specifically. Like, he helped them out. He is part of the reason why Donald Trump became president the first time. Steve Bannon is the OG Nazi here. Okay? Having said that, Elon Musk was able to, with all of his wealth, purchase Twitter and turn it into a much more effective, much larger Nazi-creating machine. Elon Musk also was able to actively undermine the regulatory agencies and destroy the federal apparatus in ways that Steve Bannon could never dream of. This is part of the reason why Steve Bannon keeps saying that Elon Musk is a parasitic illegal immigrant who should be cast aside, who should be kicked out. Except when directly asked about Elon Musk, he, of course, will also say stuff like, oh, actually, he's great. He's doing a great job. I'm still skeptical of him. I think this is a reasonable take on what's going on. There's great karma in the fact that Bannon was replaced by an immigrant from Africa to boot. Okay? I mean, all jokes aside, that is the real resentment that Bannon has for Elon Musk, because Elon Musk is doing everything that he dreamt of doing, everything that he wasn't even able to successfully do. That's it. Steve Bannon wrote a whole D&D campaign and got kicked out of his own group after rolling characters. What? I don't know about this part, but Steve Bannon did actually actively get gold farms to be... Like, Steve Bannon, when he was working at Goldman Sachs, it was responsible for Goldman Sachs investing in gold farming in China, I think, for WoW. He literally did do that. That is real. What is this? It's one of the last books I've read many, many years ago at this point. Was it Devil's Bargain, I believe? Great book. Oh, you were just giving a nerd example of how he got ditched. Okay. Don't lie, you don't read. I mean, I do read, but not full books any longer. I rarely ever have time to do that. Anyway, yeah. So Steve Bannon also saw importance in, he looked at Gamergate after his experiences with the gold farmers and like the gaming community in general, and thought, you know, we could probably use these guys to do free media online. That was somewhat effective. I think that now, especially, that has become a prominent fixture of the Trump campaign. But now he's getting sidelined by Elon Musk, who somehow is just as repulsive as Steve Bannon, for the record, and has, in a different way, also a horrifying sense of style. Their sartorial decisions are shocking to me, okay? But yeah.
The issue that they're going to have is the...
Oops, sorry. The previous video was very low.
And that's what Elon Musk has been doing with DOGE. And he took the stage yesterday at CPAC with a chainsaw, demonstrating essentially what he's been doing.
Cool. Oh, it was so cool.
To our federal government, getting rid of all the waste, fraud, and abuse. Here it is.
This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy. Chainsaw!
So the guy on stage with him that's waving, that's the president of Argentina, and he gifted Elon that blinged out chainsaw that Elon was holding up, because both of them are known for cutting wasteful
Did in his
spending.
country.
Right. My problem with Milu is he's tight with China, and he's reaffirming things with China, but he...
My problem with Milu, god damn, dude. My problem with Milu is that he's tight with China. Professional political commentators love that, dude. Love that. Okay, Brian. I'm Brian, kill me.
He also is friends with Elon Musk, and he said, here, take this chainsaw, and he made the most of it. And you see him getting the chainsaw handed to him in backstage, and he walks out there. But then he got serious. He says, look, I'm trying to do something really important. Watch.
People ask me, what's the most surprising thing that you've encountered when you go to DC, you know, when you're in DC? And I said, well, the most surprising thing is the scale of the expenditures. And actually...
How is that surprising? You are the expenditure recipient. Like, what are you talking about? Oh, it's so surprising that these dumbasses give me unlimited funds. Huh, that's surprising. Like, no, it's not surprising to you. You demand more of it. As a matter of fact, now with all of the extra control that you have over federal expenditures, you are going to get more of it. I hate this. We're just cutting out the middlemen, okay? All Elon is doing is putting a chainsaw to the corporate lobbyists by basically coming in and going, all right, you know what? We've decided we don't even need the corporate lobbyists. We'll do it ourselves. We'll just directly be in the room. Malay, the poverty rate was 40%. Now it's at a 40-year high of 52%. This is libertarian economics at work. Excuse me. That means instead of 40% of the public having to pick themselves up by their bootstraps, now you got 52% of the public having to pick themselves up by their bootstraps. That's a good thing. That means more Sigma grind set. Okay. Hello, bigger number is better. Did we forget? I am so confused. What a confusing prospect for me. A person who is dumb and thinks right wing good, left wing bad.
How easy it is to just when you add caring and competence where it was absent before, you can actually save billions of dollars, sometimes in an hour.
Yeah.
Like it's wild, but obviously it just shows that they really lack empathy for the average taxpayer who's working hard, paying taxes, and then they say, oh, $1 million doesn't matter. I'm like, I think it matters a lot to people, you know? So what are you talking about?
So I'm so conflicted about DOGE because on one hand, of course I support everything that was happening, but I feel like it's in the rundown every single day. I'm like, oh, it's DOGE, 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 DOGE. And then I go out there and I talk with the American people every single day, and that's all they're talking about is DOGE. People that are not really political, they want to see where the money is going. They want the waste to go away. And I think there's this spirit amongst Americans now. When they look at their circumstance, they look at their family struggling, some of them living paycheck to paycheck, and they see some of this outrageous spending, they're wondering why they haven't gotten some of that money. I think it's the top story every single day for a reason. It's something that resonates with the American people.
Yeah, and Elon Musk said it's going to save Medicare. It's going to save Social Security. He said this is not optional. It is essential. He said treating the government's money is no different than the way you would treat your check.
Bro, this is actually nutty. It It's so crazy, man. We are so cooked. Like, anyone that believes this is the most cooked person on the planet, okay? For example, $1 spent on the IRS returns to the government coffers like tenfold, okay? That means we can spend more money on initiatives like fixing the goddamn potholes, okay? Fixing education, any number of different things that are infinitely more helpful for regular Americans, okay? The greatest example of this is Elon Musk claiming that the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB, needed to be dismantled. It had a $1 billion budget. It's true, it did. They had only used $250 million of the $1 billion budget so far. Elon said, we're going to cut this, okay? We're going to cut this regulatory body that was an absolute necessity that was put in place after the financial crisis of 2008, okay? Elon Musk said, we're taking this away. We're taking this regulatory agency away from the American public. That agency with a $1 billion budget, only using $200 million so far, was able to claw back $21 billion of ill-gotten gains through fraud and abuse from corporations that were fucking over the American consumers and deliver it back to the American consumers. So for $1 billion, they returned to the American consumers $21 billion. Okay? Directly. It's not even the IRS at this point. Directly back into your pockets. Now, Elon Musk, on the other hand, claims that, oh, well, there's still $700 million in the tank. Let's just give it to the American people directly. Okay, you get $3 in return. The fuck are you talking about? What's the better, what serves a better purpose? Billions of dollars of stolen revenue returned back to the consumers for the meager price of $250 million with an agency that could continue working. Clearly, corporate corruption has not gone away. They're still doing fraud. Okay? Or $3 in your pocket. What do you think? What do you think is better? What do you think is a smarter use of resources? The reason why I explain this process is because it is one of the clear-cut, it's an example that they refuse to reckon with because there is no defense of it. It is such an obvious instance of eliminating an agency that was protecting consumers from billionaire corporations and billionaires that were stealing from you. Okay? People like Elon Musk and his buddies hated the CFPB and they wanted to eradicate it. And then you'll get $3 in return. When the agency existed, you were getting hundreds of dollars in regular frequency if people were stealing from you. If corporations were stealing from you, CFPB goes in, they forcibly claw back those instances of theft and give it back to you. It's basically like good cops, okay? Good finance cops. Think about that. But of course, as the case, the only cops that do get defunded are ones that work in the field of finance, in the regulatory agencies. Bro, just watch the Trash Taste episode. It was great, but the comment section is absolute brain rot. Big Redditor energy. I don't know what the fuck. I don't know how the fuck you deal with so much hate on the regular. I think that the existence of the second Trash Taste podcast episode is how I get away with it or how I deal with it. I have great friends in this industry. I have great friends that are normies. I have a fantastic network of family and friends that I rely on, and that all of that Redditor noise is simply just noise. Okay? That's it. But yes, Trash Taste, my new Trash Taste episode is out, and we will be taking a look at it later as well. We love sweaty anime men featuring Hassan Piker. Mr. President, the second Piker has hit the Trash Taste. Why would you do this, Hassan? Really? The terrorist endorser? Shame. I noticed lately you guys are not up to date with the internet, but this is a whole new level of out of touch. Having an openly racist person on, downvote. Do not have him again, please. Holy fuck. Too bad. I get irritated from just seeing his face. The guy has said so many profoundly idiotic things that I honestly cannot listen to a word from him. The brigade is on, folks. Get in and actively counter the brigade. They botted the video immediately. Lol, it's at 2.5K dislikes. You really upset the weebs this time? Yeah. 2-hour podcast, the comments from an hour ago. Yeah, no, these people don't care. They just They are, in every sense of the word, these guys operate in the same exact way that the woke liberal social justice warrior brigade operated. Okay? They hated the wokes when they did this stuff, but they became what they hated. Okay? They don't care. They're just like, oh, I saw Hassan and I hate him. Why are you doing this? This is quite problematic. Okay? Jesus, guys, really? This goes beyond left and right, or we don't engage in politics. This guy's insane. Perhaps the people that had me on the podcast, okay, know who I am better than random people who have only been primed into hating because they watched drama farmers with no politics whatsoever, with no understanding of the world whatsoever, just actively farming hatred. It has to be the Luffy comparison? No, it has nothing to do with that. Fuck whichever chatter decided to bring up this dumb shit drama. No, I don't think it's valid to just say this is dumb shit drama. I think this is good to see, but it is obviously insanely brigaded. You live rent free in so many people's heads. Saw someone hating on you in the comments of the Ted Nivison and Tucker's new pod that didn't even mention you just because you're friends with Ted. Yeah. This is the most common tactic I've seen from sex pestinies community. Everything you guessed on, they will comment something like, as a longtime fan, this was too far, I'm unsubscribing. Meanwhile, they never commented on any other episode. Yeah. I'm like real life friends with these people. I don't think they understand that. The Blue Lock take is dead on, by the way. So you're right. Oh, absolutely. It is crazy how effective it is for the haters when you just ignore them. It genuinely makes them so angry. Yeah. And it's really interesting because they just don't understand. Because sometimes we'll stare into the darkness on this broadcast. Like, we'll look at like what they're saying, and they just can't comprehend how like journalists are still covering this guy in a positive way. What the fuck is going on? And it's like, dude, why do you think? You think like a 40-year-old journalist has no political convictions of their own? Like, you think they're going to be deluded by like a drama farmer on YouTube, like a slop tuber, and be like, wow, this is a real bad guy? You think they haven't seen internet harassment campaigns before? You are so out of touch, holy hell. No, brother, I'm not the one who's out of touch. The people that are going, we hate you because we think this person is an evil person, me, okay? We think your friend that you know better, okay, is actually secretly an evil person because we've seen YouTube videos from fucking rabid haters, is an active line of attack. The assumption that you, as a random commentator, a random commenter online, is not out of touch, but I am, because what you expect in terms of like retaliation towards someone like myself is not matching the reality, is hilarious. How do you not understand that? Things will keep shocking you over and over again if you are so echo chambered and hug boxed that you genuinely believe that I am considered a fucking lolcow by anyone that is a normal human being who goes outside. Okay? That's the problem. You're like a fucking 40-year-old dude on Twitch right now being like, you're the one who's out of touch, Hassan, because in spite of the fact that you are one of the most popular fucking content creators on Twitch, I still think, me and my homies think you're a bad guy. And the more you don't realize that other people don't see it the way that you do, the more you just make up conspiracies in your mind. You can say womp womp all day, but the real womp is happening to you, old man. Calm down. That's the problem here. People go, oh, dude, he must actually secretly have a QAnon-style level of control over both Reddit and Twitch and Twitter and every other platform and also all of news media. You know what I mean? And at no point do you go, let me exercise a little bit of critical thinking. Perhaps me and the homies in the Discord that we're in might be a little wrong. Nope. Everyone else is. Society is. Anyway, I'm a big streamer on Twitch, so my opinion is better than yours. The shit take, to be honest. That's not what I said. You're choosing to misunderstand my point. My point is, if you're actively engaging in like toxic circles online where the assumption is that like I am this unimaginably evil person, okay? And then what your expectations don't match the reality of the situation every time there's like a positive news article or something that comes out, and you just like go further and further into this mania. I'm trying to explain to you that there is a reason why most people don't see me the way that you do. And it's not because they have been sheltered from the truth. It's because you have deluded yourself into thinking that I'm an evil villain. This is also an ironically bad faith way to approach what I was saying. I got banned from the chat the other day for calling you a pro-Israel terrorist. I have since realized I got you confused with Asmongold. That's hilarious. My point always is this, okay? On a long enough timeline, if you were to come in here, okay, whether you're a hater or not, if you just exercised a little bit of charitability and just listened to what I was saying, I think you would most likely realize that you might be duped into believing that I'm a bad person. Okay? That's why there's so much active gaslighting anytime something happens where you're like, why are people still working with this guy? Why don't I understand? He's like a bad dude. Okay? It's not because I'm like a successful content creator. That's not the only reason. You know what I mean? I'm sure that plays a role in it. But the major reason is because most people also have the capacity to make their own choices. They understand. They have their own convictions. They are not being duped by slop tubers in the way that you and your inner circle might be. You know? The truth about you that all these people talk about is on air for 8 hours every day. Yeah. You can make up your own mind. I believe you. Okay? If you're a hater and you're in here, I promise you, you have the capacity to make up your own mind. Make up your own mind. Be your own man. Okay? Nobody wants to believe they're duped. I know, but you know, if your expectations don't match reality so consistently, at a certain point you got to realize like maybe I'm being fucking duped, you know? That's it. Anyway, platforming someone who calls Jewish people inbred is not nice. Yeah, that's correct. If I had done that, you would be absolutely 100% correct. Except that's not what I did. Anyway, let's continue. In a little bit, they're framing you as anti-Semitic. I know. Listen, yeah. In a little bit, I'm going to be playing Marvel Rivals. Gramlo made a good point about people being duped this morning. People only dig deeper when you tell them they're duped. You have to ask them questions and lead them to the correct conclusion without making them feel like the dumbasses they are. That is also true. That is true. But that's why I also try to be as charitable as possible. Like, anyway, why are they calling you? What are they calling you anti-Semitic for? I just got back. Brother, what do you think? What do you think, dude? What do you think they're calling me anti-Semitic for? That's it. Anyway, what else? What else can we? Oh, let's finish this Doge one up before I get into playing Marvel Rivals.
Checking account. A person who overspends, he says, usually goes bankrupt. We're spending more than we're taking in, and he's saying we've got to start cutting. And that's just, you might not like it, you might lose your job, but he's saying we don't have a choice.
6,700 IRS workers are going to lose their jobs. And there is some personal stories of people coming in, they're locked out of their computer.
I think it's also in large parts their efforts of attempts at isolating you and smearing you as failing. Their frustration at the reality that their voices in their circles aren't actually as important as they thought shows them ultimately how insignificant they are. By the way, yes, I called a bunch of settlers who were settler terrorists who were deliberately targeting and destroying aid going into Gaza inbred, as I have done time and time again for Klansmen, because that's precisely what they are. Okay? That is precisely what they are. That's it.
They get an email that they're done, and they say it's over performance. They say, I never even got a performance review.
They're terrorists. They're no different than the Klansmen.
Both could be true. You could have bad performance and no performance review, which is part of the problem with the federal government. There's no accountability in the big story. And if you look at what the IRS is, very few people outside Joe Biden's family thought it was a great idea to add 87,000 agents. So they were gradually adding them. Now they're going to be cutting them back. Now they're going to look at the Pentagon. Do you notice that the Treasury, Education, as soon as Linda McMahon gets there, has already mentioned it, everyone's saying, and Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense, please come. Yeah. Please cut. They're going to add money to defense, but they got to get smarter. 700,000 civilian employees. How many are absolutely necessary? How much are doing redundant work? And
Dude. This isn't like, there is no real redundancy in the federal government. If anything, we need more, okay? We need more redundancy, especially when it comes to regulations and safety, okay? There's no such thing as efficiency when it comes to safety. There's no such thing as redundancy when it comes to safety. Redundancy is good, okay? That is a good thing. Not only is redundancy a good thing, but also we're doing mass layoffs at a time when the federal government needs more people working for it, not less. Whether it be FEMA, whether it be the Army Corps of Engineers, as we talked about yesterday, it's ridiculous. You know who's actually redundant? Dumbass Fox News commentators. You know who's actually redundant and needs cuts? Billionaires, okay? Billionaires and millionaires who run corporations. Corporations can run without them. I promise you. That is the real redundancy.
Reason why speed matters, if you think about it logically, the longer you take, the more people dig in and go, yeah, don't cut my program. Republicans too. Oh, yeah, that's in my state. Don't do that. But if you come in with an outside force, which DOGE is, not anchored to a secretary position, and you say, this is what's best for the country, also, I got deniability. I didn't cut $6,700 from the IRS. Maybe many of those are in my district. Even though it's better for the country, it's better for my political career. So you get two things. You're not responsible for it, and it was the responsible thing to do in the big picture.
It gives them the political cover that they need when they're dealing with
I think so. That's why you don't take your time.
This is true.
And you do make mistakes, but you walk it back when you do.
So this is something I'm not proud of. One person that has become a star of the Democratic Party is from Dallas, Texas, my hometown. Her name is Jasmine Crockett, and you're seeing her all over the networks, and she's making the case for Democrats. And she says that her party is not in the business of just giving out money. This is the Congresswoman.
Now, President Trump says he likes the idea of giving some of the savings from DOGE back to Americans as kind of a dividend. Would you support that?
No, we are not in the business of giving out money. And honestly, I don't know what $5,000 will do for you if you are unable to find a job, because I am telling people we are headed towards a recession.
But Ainsley, they are. That's all they do.
She says we're not in the business of giving out money, yet she was one of the ones. There were 130 Democrats who co-sponsored a bill to establish a commission on reparation proposals in 2023. She also has supported student loans, the Democrats have, illegal migrant stipends and those debit cards, also the hotel rooms for illegal immigrants, drug kits for addicts. We've seen that there are places, safe places where you can go and shoot up in California, and the Democrats have supported that. They're giving a lot of money out to what Republicans think and Donald Trump thinks is wasteful spending.
Look, we differ. I actually want it paying down the debt. I don't want to give $5,000 back to people, even though it's your taxpayer dollars. That's what she seems to be forgetting. This is not your money. It is these are taxpayer.
All right. It's time, ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, and MBs. It's time for Marvel Rivals once again. Gaming is back in a big way.
Damn, this guy's good.